Yeah, so it's a confluence of a lot of things, right? It's having a founder, which I mean, great leaders are chameleons. They can take different roles and put different hats on when it's appropriate, right? And so when I see someone who has that level of flexibility in themselves in terms of like they're being humble and knowing their place and not having an ego, but so because the reality of it is none of us, we don't do this alone. You could be the most badass CEO in the world, but you need a team behind you. And so how is it that you acquire that team? You acquire that team not by, and so in my career, I had, I typically had partners that weren't able to play that role. They were a very, very sharp spear, but didn't have around them. So, my company NetBlue, led by my partner Ken, Ken was this like the savant entrepreneur that was incredibly intelligent, but was just completely caustic to people. Like he was almost autistic in the sense, or like like people really bothered him. And so I had an ability to say, okay, what he really meant to say was this. So I was like the translator, and I softened everything around him because he didn't see it. Why don't people work like I do, 80 hours a week? Well, can they? Because they're not paid like you are, or they have different ideas. They have families. So a lot of times my role was being that softener that softened the entrepreneur to where they could have teams around, people around them, to create a culture that people loved to work with you. It was fun. It was weird. You were laughing. You had a keg in the office. You were out late at night. Like you created a story for them that allowed them to want to work with you. So I think a great CEO can create that culture that can really rally people to their defenses and build teams around them and make them feel important, right? Like, so, even my last company, I really made it a point to get to know someone in our Monday calls, not just like, how did we do yesterday, but like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you doing? Like, how's your home life? Like, how's your daughter? Like really, and I don't know if this is because I'm empathetic or introverted or whatever, but it's having the ability to actually give a shit about somebody other than just your vision. And a lot of times my partners couldn't do that, right? Because they were off in their lane over here. But so what I did is I built around them a culture that made people appreciate being there, right? And so I think that, and oftentimes you have entrepreneurs or CEOs that can do that naturally, and that's amazing. But if you can't do it, it's building a team around you that can do that, can be that empathetic voice that understands how to motivate people to do stuff that you don't want to do or you're really bad at. And I think having that level of flexibility and having the ability to put your own, look, we all have ego, right? We all want to build the next big company, but having the understanding that you're a small part of a bigger thing is really helpful. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is really rampant in the health and wellness industry where people build these companies. I'm like, dude, like that's great. $30 million a year is great, but there's people doing that probably every day, or there's there's ranks to this stuff. So know where you're at, be a good person and run a great company, but you don't have to necessarily have the ego because you're not Jeff Bezos. You're not Elon Musk. Like they're over here. We're over here. Let's stay over here and you'll be good. Stop thinking you're Elon Musk because you're not, right? We all want to be that, but we're not.